Growing from 0 to 10,000 followers on LinkedIn is actually easier than you think it is. I can say this very confidently because at my content agency, we've generated over 262,000 followers on LinkedIn in the last 18 months across dozens of clients and niches. And recently, we even did it for my fiance, which we're going to go over in this video. And no, I'm not going to be talking about begging people to follow you or generic growth advice. I'm going to be going over the exact strategies and frameworks we use to grow our clients with 100% success rate. And if you follow the game plan to a T, you'll be able to grow your LinkedIn account to 10,000 followers in 90 days. And listen, I know it might be crazy to hear because you've been trying to grow on LinkedIn for months or years with little to no growth. But in this video, we're going to be going over the exact strategies we use with types of content, different content pillars we implement, and even an exact content schedule that you can implement today. So the first thing we need to do is know exactly what styles of content to post on LinkedIn. And the good news is that LinkedIn is extremely straightforward. So the number one type of content you need to be posting on LinkedIn is medium and long form text-based content with some sort of media attached to it. I'm talking multimedia, short form video, long form video, images, and even carousels. And now as of recording this video, I can say that still images and short form videos are king. I think one day long form videos and carousels can make a return, but at the moment, this is exactly the style of content you need to be posting right now. So going into step 2, there are 5 key content pillars you need to focus on. But on LinkedIn, there's a big twist. And that twist is that we need to LinkedInify all of the hooks. That means creating content within certain bubbles that the people who actually use the LinkedIn platform will be interested in. For example, C-suite executives, mid-level managers, newly graduated professionals, business owners, and so on. So to hit this demographic, not only do you want to keep this content relevant to their sphere of interest, but you also want to be incorporating key topics and key words that is going to hit that demographic right in the face. Now, that's not to say that you can't create content about different kinds of topics that aren't just business owner focused, but this is genuinely what you want to keep in mind when you want to get the best possible performance on LinkedIn. And in layman's terms, just ask yourself, who's using LinkedIn? What would they want to see? And what are the words that would appeal to them? And again, this is completely different than any other social media on the internet. And even at our agency, we can never cross-post directly from all the other platforms. We have to alter all of the hooks and content to go specifically to the kinds of keywords and topics that crush on LinkedIn. And now we're going to go into the 5 most effective content pillars to actually crush the content on LinkedIn. The first pillar we want to create content for is the personal story. And I have an example here from my really good friend, Laura Acosta. And she says, POV, you became the first millionaire in your family. I never thought I'd get to write this post. And it goes into a full story of how she achieved her goals, and it has pictures of her parents. But there's a really key part here that makes it appeal to LinkedIn specifically. After she says, I never thought I'd get to write this post, she says, not long ago, I was yet another unemployed student. And that hits the nail on the head for people who are scrolling on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform where you can specifically go to get hired or hire unemployed students. So when she appeals directly to the reader saying, not long ago, I was an unemployed student, it hits the nail right on the head and then combines it with one of the top 5 content pillars to make an extremely effective post. And as you can see down below, 3,500 likes and 1,200 comments. It absolutely popped off. Laura, if you're watching this, you're a beast. And going into the second of the 5 key pillars here, we have expertise. Think all of your how-tos, your mental models, your frameworks, and your actionable advice for your audience. We have an example here from Dan Martell, and he says, there's a reason your team stops talking when you enter the room. They watch everything, how you handle stress, how you treat mistakes, and whether you practice what you preach. And as you can see, this was another amazing outlier post for him with over 2,300 likes. And now the key thing you want to look at here in the hook, and he says, there's a reason your team stops talking when you enter the room. And now he's talking specifically to managers, C-suite, and business owners, all of the key people we talked about earlier. And this is what LinkedInified this post. Now you could post this anywhere else, of course, but for LinkedIn specifically, he's talking to the demographic that lives here. And then after the hook, it goes into a full how-to framework of how to actually garner respect from your team. And it even has another demographic here with leaders. And speaking of actionable insight and expertise, we have a newsletter that we send every single week with actionable frameworks, how-tos, and mental models to grow on Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads, and much, much more. The link's in the description. I highly recommend you subscribe. And now for this next pillar, I want you to guess while I read the hook which pillar it might be. The deathbed calculator, how many years your current habits are stealing with proof. My 52-year-old client just discovered how he'd been trading 14 years of his life for convenience. Now, if you haven't already guessed, this pillar is social proof. This is where you flex all of your testimonials and case studies and client wins and customer journeys and 5-star reviews. And if you look at this hook specifically, Dan Go is talking directly to a 52-year-old client and telling that customer story. And what this is going to allow him to do is talk directly to the demographic of the average age of a business owner or the average C-suite executive. And this is not only going to allow his post to blow up, but it's also going to allow him to acquire new clients. And if you look down here at the engagement, it's another outlier post where he got over 1,500 likes. And this is exactly why we do this for every single client. When they onboard, we collect all of their testimonials and case studies so we can create posts just like this that build authority and social proof. And the best part about social proof is that nobody can copy you. These are your results that you earned that you're posting online, and it creates a flywheel because every time you post a piece of social proof, it attracts another client that then can create another piece of social proof, and it just goes on and on and on. And now pillar number 4 here is from yours truly, and that is the trending pillar. We have a post here that says 76% of NVIDIA employees are now millionaires. 1 in 3 has over $20 million. Here's why this matters for your business. Now, I really did 2 things in this hook. Number 1 is I talked to employees, which is one of those key words for people who are on LinkedIn. Number 2 is I incorporated a trending topic like NVIDIA, which is essentially the biggest company in the world right now. And number 3, I said, here's why this matters for your business. I'm talking directly to business owners while also getting all of that engagement from employees. And if you didn't already notice by now, every single post that I have went over had an image, an engaging image that adds to the value in the text above. And the reason that trending is such a good pillar is it takes advantage of organic SEO and organic search for people that are searching up various topics. So anytime someone searches up NVIDIA to apply, they will see my post on NVIDIA. It is the biggest growth hack in the game. So for example, if you're in the tech niche, you might use keywords or trending topics like Amazon or Apple, or if you're in the finance niche, you might use trending words like JP Morgan Chase or Goldman Sachs, and so on and so forth. You just need to look up what's trending in your industry and what are the big names that you can leverage for your own growth. And last but certainly not least, we have my favorite pillar, and this is a pillar that a lot of people think you can't do on LinkedIn, but I completely disagree. It is opinions. And in other words, it is controversial posts. Now, an example here is actually my fiance Julia's post, and it says, I stopped building my business like a man and made $300,000 last month. Now, the first thing this does is it talks directly to people and says, stop building your business like a man. It might create a little bit of outrage. It might create a little bit of support, but the most important thing is that it garners a reaction. And as long as you actually believe what you're saying, you should be sharing all of your hard-hitting, controversial opinions on social media and especially LinkedIn. And just reading further into this post, like here's the simple model I use to scale like a woman. The bro code of business is hustle harder, scale faster. It's extremely hard-hitting. And the psychological tactic that you're doing here is you're actually drawing a line in the sand and you're telling the reader, hey, pick a side. You're either going to join my side and you're going to like this post and you're going to follow me, or you're going to join the opposing side and you're going to comment and you're going to be upset about it and you're going to create a conversation in the comments section. This is why this pillar is so powerful. And looking at my fiance's page here, you can see she grew to 18,000 followers this year alone and 10,000 followers in much less than 90 days. And the crazy thing is that her page mostly operates on Instagram. She has over 10 times as many followers over there, and she was easily able to make the transition to LinkedIn by LinkedInifying her hooks. Now, to wrap this all together, the best thing you can do is use all 5 pillars of content equally. And in the content schedule that I'm about to go over, you can distribute them equally and then double down on what works to continue to scale your personal brand and create that positive feedback loop. Which takes me to step 3, which is the content schedule, which is by far the simplest of any platform online because it's simply posting 1 time per day. Now, there is a major caveat here. Of course, you can go and post and ghost and just schedule a piece of content every day and pray that you grow. But for the growth hackers that stayed till the end, I have a couple of bonus hacks for you. Number one, it's sending 200 connection requests to your ideal customer and audience per week. That is the limit that LinkedIn has set. And the crazy thing about connections is that every time you get a connection, that becomes a follower. So if you have a 50% acceptance rate on those connections, you're essentially gaining an extra 100 followers per week. And the last thing you can do is the classic 25 comments a day on people in your industry and in your network. This is just an additional way to grow on LinkedIn. But the most important part about this is that on LinkedIn, when you make a comment on somebody else's post or they make a comment on your post, it actually shows up on their profile. And what that allows you to do is get 25 times more reach each day because you're essentially posting 25 extra times on the timeline. And that's it. It's really that simple, but it's definitely not easy. Most people think that they're ready to just go and post once a day and leave it as is, but it requires real discipline and real effort to create extremely valuable content across all of these pillars for all 90 days while implementing the exact strategies that I just went over. But if you follow it correctly, exactly like we have for dozens of different clients in dozens of different niches, 10,000 followers in 90 days can be you. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest hacks to grow on LinkedIn, Twitter, and all of the other platforms, subscribe to the newsletter down in the link below. I appreciate you watching. I hope this helps. Cheers.